Wednesday, May 29th, 2024, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. We're going to focus on silver today. We're going to focus on the fact that Shanghai seems to be gaining more and more control of not just silver, but the precious metal space, gold and silver. We're going to look at the gold-silver ratio. And before we do that, we're going to quickly look at a headline that I think is important. We're going to look at a quote from someone who wrote a very interesting book about 70 years ago. And it's all to do with the divide and rule strategy of party politics, seeing that we got an important election here in the UK and in the US this year. But before I go further, I'd just like to thank all of you again for your support of the channel. For liking all my videos, for sharing it. And make sure you hit the little notification bell as well to be notified of all my new videos. It's been a long road. I never expected to be up to 100,000 when I started this channel in late 2015. Of course, I started from 0 subscribers, so it's been a long road, and we're going to keep going. And the purpose, again, of this channel is to try to give you my opinion on things. You don't have to agree with me. My opinion on things is that basically my philosophy is that we need to look after ourselves, to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, and not depend on government and not trust government nor the instruments of government, because they're not here to help you. They're here to keep you down. So enough of that now. The first headline, the headline I wanted to show you is about the BRICS nations, or the BRICS bloc. And I saw a comment yesterday that said, oh, everyone's expecting BRICS to be the new savior. I don't. I'm just trying to follow BRICS because it's very significant in terms of the balance of power in the world. But anyway, Thailand aims to become first Southeast Asian BRICS member. That came out yesterday from Nikkei Asia, Japanese paper. Says Bangkok eyes bigger role among emerging nations in bloc led by China, India, and Russia. And it looks like, they're going to make the announcement and request membership already, I think, in June. So this is moving fast. This is not the last nation or country that will want to join BRICS. I think when it's all said and done, you might even see some Western countries join BRICS, some European countries, maybe like Hungary or Serbia. Who knows? Or even France. We know that Macron requested last year to attend a BRICS summit. He was, of course, denied that invitation, but things change. So the book I was telling you about, the book is The Nameless War, and I've spoken about this book before. I tweeted out, though, yesterday this passage in the book, and I think it encapsulates the whole problem we have, not just in the US, but here in the UK, everywhere in the Western world, the division between left and right, the fact that the general public is always struggling, right? So I said here in this tweet, Winston Churchill imprisoned this MP when he took power in 1940 and only released him in 1944. Well, by that time, I guess he knew the war was nearly over. Why? Why did he do that? Because he knew where the real power lies. Is it surprising that the probable next Chancellor of the Exchequer started her career at the Bank of England? So Chancellor of the Exchequer, of course, is the equivalent of the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Finance Minister. Rachel Reeves, I think is her name. And if you look at her biography, she started her career at the Bank of England. But let's go through this section here of The Nameless War, which was written by Captain Archibald Ramsay, who was an MP. And he wrote this book in the early 50s after he'd been released, of course, from prison. The grip of the moneylender was now complete throughout Britain. Yeah, put in parentheses there, early 1700s after creation of Bank of England. So that's the period he's talking about. The danger was that the members of the new joint parliament would sooner or later, in the spirit of their ancestors, challenge this state of affairs. So what's this state of affairs? Well, is giving the moneylender complete control over the money. That's what the state of affairs is. And that's what he was alluding to. And this is the important part here. And this is why I like to see former President Trump actually say he wants to end the Fed. I would be a lot more comfortable if he meant it and he was serious about ending the Fed. I don't think I've heard him saying anything about that, but let's go through, let's finish this this passage. To provide against this, therefore, the party system was now brought into being, frustrating true national reaction and enabling the wire pullers to divide and rule, using their newly established financial powers to ensure that their own men and their own policies should secure the limelight and sufficient support for their newspapers, pamphlets. Well, that's the mainstream media back in 1952. Television was just starting and there was no internet or social media. And banking accounts to carry the day. So there you go. Yes, that's why when someone gets into power and they actually rock the boat, yeah, these people are going to come after this person. And I think maybe a little bit Liz Truss was in that situation. They didn't expect her to do what she was doing through her economic policies. And she's even mentioned, I think on the in the US recently, she was there speaking to conservatives, and she said the Bank of England has too much power. They basically, kicked me out. They didn't like what I was doing. And that's why it would be great to see Trump say something about the central banking system, how he'd want to abolish or end the Fed. Ron Paul, of course, knows all about this. So now back to silver. I'm sure you want to know what's going on here, well, from my perspective at least. And I've spoken, I think, recently how Shanghai or China is taking control of the price of gold and silver. And this control, of course, has been with the people that run the central banks in the West for many centuries out of the city of London. Yeah, that's why the LBMA and the London banks that really, well, not just London banks, but international banks that are in London have been in control of the paper price for so long. The bullion market has been, controlled by London for many centuries, as I said, probably since the Bank of England was founded, at least in the 1690s and maybe even before. So the fact that we're seeing China starting to control, in my opinion, or take over the price of gold and silver is very significant. And why is that? Well, because even though there is a futures market in Shanghai and it's probably just as leverage as COMEX. I think the Chinese, I'm not saying they don't speculate. A lot of them are more interested in getting the physical. We're seeing not just the central bank there buying gold, but the public. They want to buy physical gold. And I think the silver is more to do with industrial use for their renewable energy transition, even though they're still using a lot of carbon-based, like coal. They build a coal power plant almost every day. The Chinese, they're getting the best of both worlds, so to speak. That's why it's important, because in the West, London, New York, they have an objective of trying to keep the price of gold and silver under control. And why is that? Well, because an out of control gold and silver price, the other side of the coin of that that means that the dollar and the currencies that are linked to the dollar, which is every currency in the world, are losing big time. They can't have that. If you're going to control an empire and you're going to run the world, your currency has to be viable, and that's why gold and silver is so important. And I think it's a bit of a financial war, because China doesn't care if the dollar comes and goes, because it wants to really also be an important country. It wants to lead the world, as you're seeing through the BRICS. And I'm not taking sides here. I'm just saying what's happening. And I think the Chinese know that they need the physical gold and silver, because even their renminbi or their yuan, that's going to go down the tube as well, because it's a derivative of the dollar. And that's why they're buying so much gold and silver. But as you can see here, overnight, the price of silver reached 36.22 on the Shanghai Futures Exchange. And I think later on, by Xiaojun, or Oriental Ghost, reported that it reached 36.50. And we saw last year that the gold premium in Shanghai was even larger, and that led to that spike above 2100 in early December. So I think it's only a matter of time that silver reaches $40 here in the West, that the price of silver really takes off. Gold, the premium has kind of dwindled a little bit, but gold already has broken out. We're way above that 2070, 2100 level, which had been kind of a ceiling since 2020. Silver still has to reach the 1980 and 2011 high of 50 and then break it. And with that, we're going to look at the gold-silver ratio, because I've spoken about this many times in the last few years, that we need to see the gold-silver ratio drop for the next leg of the precious metals bull market to be really happening. And historically, in the major bull markets we've had in the last 50 years, first one was in the 70s, that culminated in 1980. The gold-silver ratio dropped all the way to around 15 in January 1980. And then in 2011, when silver went up to near 50, that ratio dropped back to around 33. So it didn't go all the way to 15-1, but I think eventually we'll go back there, and maybe even lower, because silver has been suppressed so much. But as you can see here, since that low in 2011, we've been in a range really between like mid 60s and the high 90s. Yes, we had a spike up to almost 130 back in 2020. That's when silver crashed to about $11.50 or something. And that was very unusual. And also historically, this in the last a couple of decades, 80 has been an important level for this ratio. But as you can see now, we've broken the trend line from the low in this ratio in 2021. This ratio had been rising, and that trend line was acting as support, as you can see. Yeah, it's definitely broken that now. And I think we're fast approaching this other trend line, which has the low from 2011 and the low from when was it? February 2021. And that trend line on a weekly basis, because this chart is a weekly chart, comes around 72. So it's all looking pretty good, which means I think it's only a matter of time that silver breaks, through 40 and 50. I don't think it's going to be that long until we see that. And that's also going to help gold, of course, even though the ratio's dropping. And we can still see gold go up and this ratio go down, because all it means is that silver is outperforming, and that's very normal in a precious metals bull market. So I would say the first hint that we had that we are on another leg of a precious metals bull market, and I think this leg could last quite a few years, at least 3-4 years. The first signal was the breakout of gold above 2100, and now the gold-silver ratio is another factor that's pointing to this precious metals bull market. So with that, let's quickly look at where the markets are this morning. It's almost 8 a.m. London time. We've got spot gold, $23.55. It's down about $6. High's been 63 and the low's been 50. Silver's trading at 32.24. It's up 15 cents or 0.5%. High's been 32.31. The recent high, not all-time high, but the recent multi-year high for silver was 32.51, I think, a week or two ago. I'm not sure when. So that's the key level there. I think we'll test that maybe today, or very probably today, I would say, but definitely before the end of the week. So what about the stock market? Well, yeah, the stock market, I would say it's going to stay pretty steady. I think a lot of people are expecting a major crash, like a 1929 style crash. I'm not too convinced of that, because the central banks will not allow that to happen, because it's the only thing that's keeping the economy going are these high stock prices. Because, as I said the other day, the bottom 50% of the economy, the bottom 50 people, the public is struggling in the US, in the UK. So the only thing they've got is this financial bubble. But anyway, the Dow futures is down about 140 points. NASDAQ 100 futures down 70, and the S&P is down 20 points. All around 1/3% lower. What about the currencies? Well, they're not doing too much right now, so no point in going over them. The other commodities, well, we've got WTI crude. I hadn't noticed that. That's back above 80, so that's significant. We're up 1/3%, trading just above 80. Brent is trading at 84. High-grade copper, that's up 0.5%. It's trading at 488. So the commodities still look very strong, and it's not surprising to me, and it shouldn't be to you either. And just to finish off, the U.S. Treasury market That's under pressure a little bit, i.e. yields are rising again. The 10 years at almost 460, we're at 456, up 2 basis points, and the 2 years at 496. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see as well how expectations of rate cuts for the Fed continue to change. I think the Fed is going to have a very hard time justifying rate cuts, at least in 2024. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing for gold and silver. It just goes to show that the Fed has no clue what's going on. And if anything, that's good for gold and silver because, yeah, gold and silver are the anti-Fed. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.